Hey y'all, Caleb here. In today's video, we're going to install NPM on my PC and look at what NPM is used for by adding a new global package. Alright, so you're going to need to go to Node's website. I'll have a link in the description, and choose between the LTS or current builds for Node. LTS stands for long-term support, and this is guaranteed to have support for, I think, 18 months. And as they say, it's recommended for most users. The current version is actually supported for a shorter period of time, but it's of course going to also have the latest updates and enhancements. My suggestion is that unless you're working in a large enterprise or you want to make sure you have a certain level of stability, and in that case you would do LTS, I actually suggest doing the current version, especially if you're primarily using this for Node Package Manager. So I've gone ahead and downloaded it, and we're going to click on it. And the setup for this one is pretty straightforward. Since I've already have it installed, I'm just click change so you can see what's included. The runtime, package manager, which is really what we're concerned about, documentation, and path variables. So click next. This is not something that I have Node do. If needed, I can do this myself. But if you are running into some issues with some of your NPM packages or modules not compiling correctly, then you can select this, and it will install Chocolatey as well as the tooling needed to make sure that your Node modules compiles without any issues. But I handle this myself on a case-by-case basis. So then we're going to click next. And for me it's changed, for you it'd be install. And then click finish. Okay, so installing Node in NPM is really just that simple. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check what version of NPM we have installed, and as you can see, we have the latest version, 7.0.14. And as a side note, whenever you're working on the command line with CLI tooling, typically if you don't know the commands for specific CLI or specific tooling, you can typically do H or help. In some cases you can even do question mark, which, as you can see with NPM, it doesn't work. But those options will show you a list of commands that you can run. So I'm going to show you what I use NPM for primarily, and that's installing packages from their NPM site. So use NPM and then install, and you're going to want to locate a package you need, or pull one in based off of a requirement for an application you're working on. In this case, I'm going to do Angular CLI, and I want to install this globally, meaning that I can actually run Angular CLI commands from the command prompt, and it'll be globally accessible to all of my applications. So once we've put in this, we're going to do the install, and it's typically pretty quick. The deprecation stuff you're going to get on almost any package you install. Um, for some things, usually not something you need to worry about. And now we have Angular CLI installed globally. Um, One thing I do want to bring up before we close this video out is as a developer, you're going to be using some sort of package manager a lot. Inside Visual Studio, they have a NuGet package manager, which actually allows you to download content from Microsoft and third parties and open source. For front-end stuff, you have Bower, which I haven't used in years, but it's still out there, and it still works just fine. Another option you have is Yarn, and Yarn actually installs NPM packages, but it's got its own command line interface instead of using NPM. And a couple of years ago, I was working on an Angular project that had a lot of packages. And every once in a while you have an issue with one of your packages, and it messes up your node modules folder, which is where all the packages are stored for the project you're working on. And sometimes you have to wipe it out. And we ran into issues where we were trying to basically rebuild from our package file, which is package.json, and it would hang, or it would take forever, just because the number of packages and the data, it was having to go back and forth, and circular dependencies, any number of small issues that can cause big problems. And so we used Yarn for about a year, and that actually seemed to fix our issue at the time. But one thing that these package managers are doing, they're constantly updating their code and their performance. And since we went back to NPM and haven't had any issues, but just want to let you know that there are other options out there, and if you don't like NPM or would prefer a different way of handling your packages, Yarn is a good option. Okay, so that wraps up this video. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them for me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And hope you all have a good day. Bye, y'all.